Great morning, great morning, great morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's time for the It's About You radio show on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. I'm your host, Maurice McDonald, a.k.a. Mickey D. Each and every week, I have the opportunity to have this platform to share some amazing information designed to get into your ears and then into your heart and hopefully into your legs, causing you to move in the greatness that you were created for. Each week I say this: I don't take this for granted. I don't take it for anything other than what it is, but a true blessing. My Creator. Those of you know I've had 3 amazing careers: professional school counselor, professional law enforcement officer, also professional counselor, and along that way I guess a different career as well as a domestic violence counselor. So I've been helping and serving people for over 4 decades, and I don't take that for granted. I don't take it lightly. And so I was able to have this platform to share this information with you. And because it's 8 o'clock in the morning, I know someone is showering, someone's having breakfast, someone's in the car, or you may be at work listening. And I thank you. I don't take that lightly either. And because it's 8 o'clock, you know what I always do. I start with my morning quote of the day, the morning motivational quote of the day. And this one is by Charlotte Bronte, who was an English novelist and poet born in 1816. But guess what? Her message is so powerful. When I read this one, it just resonated with me. It says, I try to avoid looking forward or backward and try to keep looking upward. Let me say that one more time. I try to avoid looking forward or backwards and try to keep looking upward. And to me, this clearly means for me is that I need to look where my strength is coming from. My higher power, my God, my Creator, my source, my everything that wakes me up every morning, allows me to go to sleep every night, good rest, allows me to have limbs to walk, allow me to have processes, allow me to be blessed going and coming. And sometimes many of you may be thinking, well, I don't have this and I don't have that. I wish I had $1 million. I wish all my bills were paid. I wish that, listen, you look up. You look up from where your strength comes from. If you don't have a higher power, I encourage you, get a higher power. Reach out to God. God is waiting on you. Keep looking upward. Keep looking for your way out, for your why. Your strength comes from God. I can't lean on my own understanding. So instead of trying to look forward and looking backward, keep your eyes looking upward, from which comes your strength. And that's your morning motivational quote today, brought to you by MauriceMcDonald.net. Go to MauriceMcDonald.net and learn all about your gut microbiome. Learn all disease begins in the gut. And getting that gut right, and you'll get everything else in right. Again, that's MauriceMcDonald.net, MauriceMcDonald.net. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to go ahead and finish up on the series that I started a couple of weeks ago. It was called, if you recall, I was driving down a highway and I kept seeing this billboard that said, untie knot, we untie the knots. It was an advertisement for a law firm. And I kept seeing that, untying the knots. It showed a ribbon, red ribbon, and there was like a knot in it. They talk about how they solve the problems for you and help you to untie the knots. And every day I'd see it, and then one morning it hit me. My Creator gave me a whole new revolution. It just made this whole thing speak to me. And it talked about all the knots. And I've been talking about the different knots there are and how we create some of our issues, how we get in our own way sometimes, and the different types of knots. And to do a quick recap, I talked about, the different knots that we had: the slip knot, the bow knot, the granny knot. We talked about square knots and what the overhand knot, meaning, and as a recap, we talked about small problems when ignored can trip us up, and the idea, don't dismiss a little stressors, deal with them early. That's that overhand knot. We talked about the square knot. Some knots are meant to hold things together. Strong relationships, healthy commitments and values should secure and keep us balanced. And the granny knot, not every knot that looks right will hold. Yeah, it may look like it's tight, look like it's there, but it may not hold it. And it talked about shortcuts in relationships, parenting, healing, or self-care often can come undue and under pressure if it's not done correctly. We talked about the bowline knot, healthy boundaries, a strong loop that doesn't tighten. Healthy boundaries are firm, but not suffocating. So you got to have the boundaries, and it's designed to protect you. And then we talked about the slip knot. The harder you pull, the tighter it gets. Some problems gets worse when we force them. Wisdom is knowing when to pause and change the approach sometimes. And then we talked about the club hitch, temporary attachments. We said easy to tie, easy to untie. Not everything in your life is meant to be permanent. Some reactions, or there's some seasons you may have, or some habits, and their role is temporary. So I'm just doing a quick review about it. And so I'm going to pick up right there where we left off, talking about that sheet bend, different people, one connection. And the lesson to that is it ties different sizes of ropes together. We can build meaningful relationships with people who are different from us when they care, when you care. And then, of course, number 8 is the figure 8 knot, safety and stability. The life lesson there is a knot you can trust under pressure. Build your life on practices that are strong and reliable, habits and routine and support systems. And then the double knot. That lesson on that one is extra tight for extra security. Sometimes we hold on to people, pain, or control too tightly. Not everything needs to be double knotted. Oh my goodness. And that part is so amazing. And then, of course, triangles and snares. Life gets messy. Yes, life can get messy. And it said, and the lesson for that one is not a knot, just a plain mess. The point is, some seasons aren't about untying one thing. They're about slowing down and sorting through the confusion. Slow down, sort through the confusion, because life can get messy. And that is so powerful. And the idea is that some knots in your life are healthy, some are harmful. The work of growth is learning the difference and having the courage to untie what is no longer serving you. Oh, you see, some are harmful. There are some knots in life that are healthy and some are harmful. The work of the growth is learning the difference and having the courage to untie what is no longer serving you. You don't have to stay there. So check the knots in your life. Are they holding together or holding you back? Deciding which is which. It is powerful to understand. So now, what I want to do today is take an approach. See, it is important. I want to talk about today because I think I'm going to end it here, unless my higher power takes me another direction. But I don't take this lightly, ladies and gentlemen. The information I share with you, I do my work, as you know, my background's in counseling and working along those lines. And as an educator, I teach in the counseling program at the college and dealing with social work and those types of things. And I always tell my students, before you go out in this field and try to help somebody else, you got to put your mask on first, like in the airplane. They say in case of altitude drop on the plane, those of you who've flown before, if you're flying with a young one or a senior citizen or someone you're in your care, you got to put your mask on first because you can't help somebody when you're passed out. So today I want to talk about 10 ways to heal from the knots we created. Because oftentimes life comes at us and there are things that are beyond our control. But then there are times that we create the knots. And so I know there's always a healing process. You can untie what it's difficult, should I say. You can't untie what you won't acknowledge. You see, in AA, the person has a say, and that's Alcohol Anonymous for those who don't know. The first thing an alcoholic must do is to admit they are an alcoholic. Someone who is an overeater, they must admit, I'm an overeater. Someone who's got some issues, someone who is a gambling problem, they have to admit, I have a gambling addiction. Someone, number one, who is a sex addiction, they must admit that is the first step. You can't change what you don't admit. And healing starts with telling the truth about your patterns, your choices, your behaviors, without beating yourself up. Now, this doesn't mean that you beat yourself up. Absolutely not. It does not mean that. Awareness is the first pull on the knot. Awareness is the first pull on that knot. And it is so important to getting help. I don't care what. The knot could be the fact that you're overeating, you're overweight, your blood pressure is high, you're diabetic, you got all kind of medical issues, you're on 5 different kinds of medication. And yet, the things that you do have control over, your diet and exercise. I'm not talking about living on a diet. It's a way of life. I'm not talking about just losing weight. I'm talking about realizing that I must put myself in movement 3 to 4 times a week. And initially, it's going to be a little pain. I have to watch the things that I eat. I don't mean watch it as you shove it in your mouth. I'm talking about smaller portions, the proper way of eating. Well, I don't like that. I just like, you're drinking 5 glasses of sweet tea at dinner, every meal, and soft drink, and Coca-Cola, and you're eating fast foods. All those things are creating issues for you if that is the problem. Well, the first thing awareness of this is, the first pull of that knot is, I got to first admit that my eating's out of control. Or whatever it is, you got to first, that part. The first pull on the knot is the awareness of it. And we're talking about, those who just joined us, we're talking about untying the knots. And today, this morning, I'm talking about the 10 ways to heal from the knots we created. So what I want to say is, I don't want you to put we, I want you to say I. Use an I statement. How do I heal from the knots I created? Because it's hard to deal with knots that life comes at you. People come at you. Situations happen. Well, what do they say? Life is lifing. But I want you to first take a look at the knot, the practice of honest self-awareness. That's the first one. Name the knot. Name what it is. Practice the honest awareness. I know mine was the idea of getting older and gaining weight. And I chose to do just what I just said to you. That 5:30 in the morning walking. Why? Because that time is so much better for me, for everything else. I get it out of the way. And then changing that. I got a personal trainer, and I started drinking more water, cut the soft drinks out. People, I just love the sugar. Well, guess what? That sugar is addictive, okay? Not that all sugar is bad. If you have a drink every now and then, soft drink, it's okay. I'm not talking about that. But listen, it's about naming the knot and know what it is the first one. And it says awareness is the first pull of that knot. That is so true. The second one, release shame. Release the shame, take responsibility. And we're talking about 10 ways to heal from the knot. Shame says, I'm a problem. Responsibility says, I made a choice and I can make a new one. Yeah. See, take away the shame, because oftentimes that people say, oh, I feel shame. I got the shame says because you're not a problem. You are not the problem. You are not the problem. Responsibility says, I made a choice to do what I did. Now I can make a new choice. That alcoholic who says, hey, listen, my name is Mike and I'm an alcoholic. So when you hear people talk about, I got 30 days clean, I got 1 year clean, I got 2 years clean. Listen, if you've never been addicted, you don't know how powerful that is. I know some people they'll get upset. Why are they always talking about time they clean? All they had to do was just quit drinking. Well, see, you haven't walked that walk with them. So they see every single day as a chance to get it right. And they know they're close to reuse again. But each day they know they got to make that choice. I made choices in the past, but now I'm making new ones. In other words, own the knot without becoming the knot. We're talking about untying the knots. We're talking about 10 ways of healing from the knot that I created. So with that said, you always have to be mindful that, number one, I got to own the knot without becoming the knot. And I want you to think about, what is it that how can you help yourself to get through the process, to make it through every single day without the guilt, without the shame, without all of the issues that come with that? So the idea is to release the shame, take responsibility. I am not the problem. Responsibility says I made a choice and I can make a new one. Own the knot without becoming the knot. You see, that is part of that process of the healing, and admitting it and taking, because it's hard to heal when shame's in the way. You see, shame gets in there and it clouds the thought processes. It stops movement. Shame brings upon guilt. Shame brings upon hopelessness, because it's hard, if you feel shame, to stay hopeful, because you're the problem. Beat yourself up. This is not beat yourself up day. Never beat yourself up. That human process, that human flesh gets in the way, and it gets cloudy. And even when the thing about cloudy days is that the sunshine is coming. Every day is not cloudy. And this is the process of letting go. Letting go. Don't beat yourself up. Admit what happened. Admit that you made the mistake. Admit that you've always been making that, because people will always remind you what you did. But the key thing is learn to release that shame, because once it's released, see, you have to replace the shame with something else. And guess what you replace the shame with? New thinking, new behaviors, new words come out of your mouth. You see, there's a book called Hung by the Tongue, a little thin paperback book, full of different scriptures and everything that's talking about, there's a book I read, you know what it is. It's called Death and Life. Come on, finish it for me. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. So what I say about myself reveals what I think about myself. If I say I'm a loser, I've always been a loser. My mama said I was a loser. My teacher said I was a loser. There's no hope for me. You stay in that shame. You stay in that negative space. You stay in that space that says I'm not worthy. And so therefore, the second point is to release the shame and take the responsibility. So the first one was name the knot. Okay? Practice honesty and self-awareness. Second one, release the shame, take the responsibility. The third point, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Many people stay tied to their past mistakes because they never gave themselves or never granted themselves grace. Self-forgiveness is not excusing harm. It's choosing healing over self-punishment. Let me just say that again. Self-forgiveness is not excusing harm. It is choosing healing over self-punishment. In other words, you don't heal what you keep condemning. You don't heal what you keep condemning. So therefore, forgive yourself. Because this kind of goes back to that very first point when I said that, name the knot. So now that you name the knot, forgive yourself. Name what it is. I forgive myself from the car accident where I hurt somebody because I was drunk driving. Call what it is. I heal myself for being the cause of my separation or my divorce. I heal myself from whatever it was. Name it, call it out, but then also forgive yourself, because you don't heal what you keep condemning. So if I keep condemning, I'm using that I statement again. If I keep condemning my actions, if I keep condemning my behavior, I keep condemning whatever it is and not releasing that thing, do you know it's hard to heal from it? Forgive yourself. Many people stay tied to the past mistakes. And I'm asking you right now, if you're listening to this, and if you're still tied to your past mistakes, you're still upset, you're still looking in the mirror saying that you're a loser, you're still saying, I'll never be able to stop drinking, I'll never be able to lose weight, I tried it one time. I mean, if you're the person that quits easily, that's your problem. You got to work on some intestinal fortitude. You got to work on some strength. You got to get into the emotional gym. Yeah, you're going to get into that verbal gym and learn how, there's a term called, verbal jujitsu. You got to learn how to fight the enemy. You got to learn how to fight the negative stuff that keeps plaguing your life. And it's coming out, you're thinking it, so therefore it comes out through your lips. This is why it is important for you to go to counseling and get some tools. Put some tools in your toolbox. Men got to put your big boy pants on. And ladies, you got to put your, big girl pants on and be able to say, listen, I got this. I know what I did in the past. I messed up several times. I kept saying I was going to stop drinking. I kept going back over and over again. And I always return to you, but this time it's going to be different because I'm planting my flag right now. I'm standing 10 toes down on this. I'm planting my flag deep in the ground right here. And because I'm going to forgive myself, I'm going to release the shame and take responsibility. And I'm also naming what that is. So those first 3 points, I am going to forgive myself. I deserve to be forgiven. Yes. And I'm going to start by forgive. Others may forgive me or may not forgive me, but I'm going to forgive me. And because I'm going to forgive me on this Tuesday morning, whatever morning it is you decide, or midnight hour, wherever it is, I'm planting my flag in the ground. I'm standing on this principle, and I'm going to forgive myself. I don't care if it's been 4 or 5 years I've been doing this. I keep repeating the same thing. Yeah, I used to, but now I'm putting some tools to this. I'm putting a voice to it, and I don't care what anybody else says about me. I'm forgiving myself, because if I don't forgive myself, it is difficult for me to heal from it because I keep wallowing in the guilt. I keep wallowing in the shame. I keep bringing it up every time I see a story. I'm breaking down in tears because I want as it ever been. I've been carrying this load for a decade. Yeah, I've been carrying this load for 5 years, and I'm on my 3rd marriage, and whatever it is, I've been abusive to my other 2 wives and my girlfriend. But because I gotta go get some help and figure out why I'm doing this, and now I'm gonna forgive myself because I'm gonna get help. I'm gonna go get help. Because now I don't want you just to forgive yourself thinking, well, I said it one time and that's it. No, you gotta put some tools, put some strategies in place. But the first thing is forgive myself, and I'm gonna start seeing her as an equal. Come on, I'm gonna start to expect to win. You see, that's the key thing. I'm forgiving myself. I released the shame. I named it. I called what it was. This is all part of 10 steps to heal from the knots we created. So I want you to think about it. Some of you need to make a list of knots that you created. You've made several knots in your life that you need to create, and it's important that you do that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. What if I told you that some of the most powerful influences in life live in your gut? That's right. Trillions of tiny microbes make up your gut microbiome, and they're busy chatting with your brain, your immune system, even your mood. These conversations are called gut accesses. Think of it as your body's group chat. When the gut speaks, everything listens. Your energy, focus, and digestive system might feel it too. The good news is small changes like taking P84, 84 organically grown fruits and superfoods harvested worldwide, which supports a healthy gut microbiome. Take it in powder form. Simply pour it in 8 ounces of water. Then take Protandim, which has been clinically tested to reduce oxidative stress in your body by 40% in 30 days. It can give you the healthy edge. Imagine turmeric, green tea, ashwagandha, and many more healthy supplements that don't just provide supplementation, but activation. This healthy edge pack will significantly impact your overall health. Change one thing and change everything. Go to mauricemcdonald.net. That's MauriceMcDonald.net to learn more and get the healthy edge, or call 877-634-8194 to get free samples and learn how you can take charge of your health today. We're back, guys, on Tuesday morning on the It's About You radio show, WDRB Media, the voice of the community. Your host, Maurice McDonald. And today, guys, we are talking about how to heal from those knots that we created. Because oftentimes we've been doing this whole series about knots, and I just talked about a moment ago, one of the first things we talk about is name the knot. Know what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Practice honest self-awareness. So if you missed the first section, that's what we're talking about. Then we talked about release the shame. Take responsibility. Shame says that you are the problem, you're not the problem. The choice you made was, and you have a chance to take responsibility and make a new one. And then we talked about forgive yourself. Forgive yourself and don't beat yourself up on this. And let me just go ahead and let me just acknowledge and put a period right here. There's something I have not said that is so important and needs to be said. First of all, healing begins when we take responsibility and invite God into the process. Inviting God into the process of the healing. Because number one, He's the great physician. Realizing that God is your source, ladies and gentlemen. And you can't do this without Him. There's so many people that just think I can do everything by myself. You don't wake yourself up in the morning. Hello, you don't put yourself to sleep. Your things that go on inside your body at nighttime while you're sleeping, your system and your whole gut microbiome thing is starting to work inside of you. And that happens. The Creator knows what's happening. That's why you got to have good rest, good sleep. And oftentimes you can't get good sleep because your life is a wreck and you got all kind of knots. And then, of course, you put your gut microbiome in a knot as well. So the first part of this whole thing is when you take responsibility and realize I can't do this alone. So I am going to invite my higher power, my Creator, into this process. So that's something key for you to grab a hold and enjoy that ride. Because guess what? God has a sense of humor, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. But He's also forgiving, the comforter. There's so many great words that I could use about that. But going along these points I'm talking about forgiving, let's go to point number 4. Apologize and repair where possible. Apologize and repair where possible. If the knot involve hurting others, Healing includes accountability. I kind of hinted to this earlier. Your third marriage and your second relationship, and you've been there some abuse and abused your children, or you were the cause of whatever. It says that not involves hurting others. Healing includes accountability. Accountability does not mean you making excuses. Well, I did this because if you hadn't done this, no, this ain't. Listen, this is about you. Accountability means I know what part I played. A sincere apology and change behavior can loosen some knots in relationships and within yourself. You see, a sincere apology and change behavior. Notice it's two-part. A sincere apology and change behavior can loosen knots in relationships and within yourself. Wow. Apologies untie more knots than excuses ever will. See, apologies untie more knots than excuses ever will. Making excuses why you did it. But see, what had happened was the reason I didn't know, that's not what we're talking about. Owning it. Own it. You know, it's a term I used to use with my students, and I made a statement, when students get ready to present in class, because research says that students learn more when they teach. So I have students who assign chapters that they have to research themselves. They're going to do the PowerPoint. They're going to do all the work, and then they're going to stand in front of people and present for 45 minutes to an hour on this. And many of the students come in, fear of public speaking is one thing. Oh my gosh, it's one of the scariest things it is, fear of public speaking. And so students get up there and the first thing they start saying, well, I'm nervous, y'all. They start talking that, and they know that's one of my pet peeves. I say, listen, I tell them up front, if you come out and you start telling your audience that you're nervous and you're afraid, all these kind of things, your grade starts out at a 60. So the most you're going to get is a 60, because I'm taking off major points, because nobody asked you about you. Your job is to deliver the message. I'm stirring with it, so they don't like it. But guess what? I asked the young lady, I said, listen, have you prepared? Yes. Do you know your material? Yes. So own it. Going forward, this is your one break. I need you to own the stage. And she got ready to graduate, and she said, Mr. McDonald, I'll never forget that. You told me to own it. She's working on her bachelor's degree now, soon to be get her master's degree, and she brings it up all the time. You told me to own it. I told this story for a reason. When it comes to your apologies and repairing where possible, where others were hurt, healing, includes accountability. A sincere apology changes behavior and loosens the knots of relationship within yourself. And I said apologies untie more knots than excuses ever will. So I'm telling you to own it. Own the apology. No buts and no other words. You own the apology. Stand on it. Be sincere about it. Admit what you did was wrong. Every time it was wrong. Name all of it. You see, I had doing the domestic violence counseling for 13 years. The men had to do an amends letter. These were all men who were arrested for domestic violence. 26-week program. They're there. They come every week. They got to pay money to be in the program. And at the end, they got to write an amends letter to the victim. They never give it to the victim, but they have to write the letter as part of it. And they have to own it. Not coming in there where they tell us what they've learned and write the letter to the victim. And I've heard men say things like, when I came in the house and I smacked you and put your head down into the sofa, I assaulted you, I strangled you. They didn't say choke, because you can choke on a hot dog. I learned that choking is one thing, but strangulation is intentional. I placed my fingers around your throat and squeezed. And then I also strangled your son because he watched me harm his mother. And they're standing on what they did on those amends letter. I know I traumatized him. He'll never forget that. And you got to own what you do. So I give that example, but the idea, apologize and repair where possible. Now, there are times you can't apologize in situations because you have no contact. There's a restraining order, whatever it is, or the person's moved on. I'm talking about where you're able to do that, because that part helps them heal, but help you heal. Because apologies untie more knots than excuses ever will. And that is so powerful, to realize what you did to apologize and mean it. Not one of those little, no sincerity whatsoever in it. Apologies. So, point number 5 I want to talk about. Change one small behavior at a time. You see, take one small obedient step at a time. One obedient step at a time. Change one small one. You see, big knots weren't tied in one day, and they won't be undone in one day. That's the same thing with the idea when it comes to substance abuse. Someone who's in recovery, someone who is wanting their life. Yeah, the same way that somebody gained weight. Oh, I want to lose 10 pounds in 1 week. Oh, wait a minute. You didn't gain 10 pounds in one day. It's a small steps, baby steps. One small behavior at a time. Being able to make that. Pick one small habit to shift this week. Yeah, 1 week. Start small. The students who are poor students, sometimes it's not because they're not smart or intelligent. They have bad habits. They try to cram at the last minute. They're on social media all the time. They're hanging out with their friends instead of studying. Well, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll wait till the last minute to do it. And then you got a cold and you didn't feel like it. You were sick, an emergency, and now you got a bad grade. You had 7 days to do the assignment. You waited 5 days to start, and you didn't do your best. So sometimes it start with, let me get my work done first before I get my pleasure. Changing my routine, develop a better system, change one small behavior. There's a saying that we have, change one thing and you can change everything. Small pulls loosen tight knots. Small pulls loosens tight knots. And that is important. Pick one small habit to shift this week. And then in order to shift that week, you start with 1 day. What is it do I need to put in place? Little baby steps that leads to a great destination. You got to change it. Small one at a time, ladies and gentlemen. There are no big moves to make it one time. It's small beginnings on the job. Think about it. There are individuals who are late to work every day. You know you're going to stop to get coffee. Show up. Leave early. I have students who come to the classroom, they're late. They're late every day, meeting twice a week. 30 minutes late to class, 30 minutes of instructional time. During that time, I may have reviewed the exam, went over exactly what you may need to know, explained something that may have been complicated, but you didn't hear it. Because I always tell students, education isn't taught, it's caught. Yes, having mentors, being around somebody who's going to connect you to where your next move should be. Instead of hating your job, look for the connection of networking at that job. The small step, let me put myself in circles that people who have been doing or where I want to be, they've been there 10 years already. I need to put myself, but because I showed up late, I missed the opportunity. So maybe I need to get up earlier, leave earlier. Maybe I need to fix my coffee at home. Maybe I need to figure out another way for me to get there early and be on time. My father said to me, I can't believe I'm repeating what he said. He said, if you're on time, you're late. That used to bother me. Well, I'm on time, but that means you're late, boy. And I used to think, man, he don't know what he's talking about. Oh, yes, he did. He knew. So sometimes you need to change one small behavior. You know what it is. You know what the behavior is. It could be the small behavior could be, number one, you've been thinking negative all your life. You've been hanging around negative people. Okay, here's your first small behavior change. Stop hanging around negative people. You know, negative Ned, negative Nancy. They're skeptical about everything. I know I try to show people opportunities because I have an amazing, awesome business and I try to help people, show them an opportunity. But because it comes dressed in overalls and work boots, they say no to the opportunity, but yet they're duct taping their car together. They don't know. They don't want personal growth and development. They want quick fixes. Like people want to, I want to win a lottery. I just want God to drop $1 million in my, guess what? No, I want it my way. So changing one small behavior at a time also means changing not only a behavior, a thought process. Change the thought process that got you to the behavior. Because see, first and foremost, you cannot change a behavior until you change the thought process behind that. For example, a man that views a woman as less than him will abuse her. He'll smack her around. Why? She's on the same level as a cockroach. I don't see her as an equal when it comes to race. When you have somebody who thinks they have a superior race, they think that a man who thinks his gender is more important than the female, then you can abuse them. Yeah. Because it's your mindset about them, your mindset about whatever the task is. So if you change one small behavior at a time and realize, as I said before, small pulls loosens tight knots. This is going to be huge to help you overcome this. Now, my next point, I think, and we're here, if you just joined us here on WDRB Media, the Voice of the Community, on the It's About You radio show, we're talking about untying the knots, healings. We're talking about healing begins, I said earlier, by inviting God into the process. And this show is dedicated, we're talking about those knots, and we're talking about 10 ways to heal from the knots that we created. Yeah, see, there are knots that other people create. But man, they're ones we create. And my next point is set boundaries with your old patterns. Set boundaries with your old patterns. Man, boundaries aren't just for people. They're your patterns. You see, you have a pattern. I have a pattern to do things. Stop retying what you're trying to untie. In the middle of trying to untie, you retie. You retie. Oftentimes, going back again to that one I was talking about, and I know I've talked about DV a lot because I know 13 years of working with batterer intervention program, court-ordered counseling for perpetrators. When it comes to relationships, where you as a married man, I know this is going to be a touchy subject for people, but you're hanging out with a lot of single friends, single men, and you're trying to develop a good relationship. You're not spending time with her, you're not doing whatever, and I understand. But then, in the midst of you doing that, you turn right back around and untie something, retie something that was already untied. That part, setting boundaries with your old patterns. Stop retying what you're trying to untie. Getting back in the same old thing with my friends, I got to do this, whatever, or you go right back to hanging out. You're trying to stop drinking. That's why when it comes to alcoholics, we say new faces and new places. You can't hang with the same people. Hanging with the same people who are not trying to help you, because it never feels, if a man is trying to stop drinking, a man is trying to do things, whatever, or a woman is trying to do things as well, and you go right back and hanging with those people with the negative attitudes, and before long, you're back doing what you were doing before, because, well, those are my friends. No, you got to develop new sources, new places. As I said earlier, hanging with people that are where you want to be, a new source of that. So therefore, you got to set some boundaries with your old patterns. Oh, man. And that's why, as we said before, sometimes that knot is a habit you keep returning to. Overworking, people pleasing, unhealthy coping. Boundaries aren't just for people, they're for your patterns. Set some boundaries with your patterns to create new patterns. Because I know for a fact, if I'm hanging out with people that are exercising, they're bike riding, I'm going to the Y, I'm going to the gym, I got an accountability partner. And they're showing you how to eat, what to eat, much healthier. Other opportunities, substitute. You're trying to stop smoking and you hanging around all your friends that smoke. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to offer you a cigarette. Come on. You can't keep retying patterns that you're trying to untie. You keep tying it back. And this point is called setting boundaries with your old patterns. You got to develop new patterns. And this is so powerful. The next point, ask for help. Don't untie alone. This is one of the greatest, let me tell you, you cannot be the lone sheep. The sheep are safer in the pack. That stray sheep, the wolves come out that they want. They look for the weak one. There's strength in numbers. You got to ask for help. Pride keeps knots tight. Ooh, somebody ought to write. That's a t-shirt right there. Pride keeps knots tight. Support loosen knots. Support can loosen them, ladies and gentlemen. Pride, I got this. As a man, I don't need no help. Look at these muscles I got. And by the way, men need more counseling. And let me go ahead and put that out there again. Men need more counseling than anything on planet Earth. Men like to say women are emotional. There's nothing more emotional than a man. Ladies, I know y'all clapping for me because that's the truth. That's key. But we think we can't have emotions and we try to do substitute. But pride keeps knots tight. Support loosens them. Whether it is a trusted friend, a mentor, a counselor, a faith leader, healing accelerates in communities. You see, healing accelerates in a community, not by yourself. You weren't meant to untie every knot by yourself because you're not capable. Imagine trying to get a 10-year-old to bench press 200 pounds. Can't do it. Not there yet. They got to wait. Oh, no. But my point is, if you get a group of 10-year-olds together, they can lift it up. Oh, yeah. You get 10-year-olds together or 15 10-year-olds together working to lift together. Oh, in community or working with a therapist. Yes. And going back regularly. It may take 3 or 4 sessions, then 5 sessions, and then later on you got to go every other month. Whatever it is you got to do, it's like everything else. If you need a booster shot, because they're going to give you some strategies, they're going to help you, and they're not going to tell you what to do, but you're going to be there to get help. So you weren't meant to untie every knot by yourself. Some you can do, but others you can't. And this point is ask for help and be okay with it. That is so important for you to understand. And remember, God is a source. Many of you got to read his word. Some of you got to hang, we all fall down. We make mistakes. We most certainly do. But realizing that number one, I got to go to my higher power immediately. Go to that counselor. If you don't have one, guess what? You can find one. Go to psychologytoday.com and you can see all kinds of therapists there who are willing in a non-judgment environment. In a non-judgment environment. That is so key. They're going to be there to help you and guide you through that process. Ask for help. The faith leaders I said earlier, the mentor, the friend. the counselor. And healing accelerates in community. I know I'm being redundant and repeating myself because I want you to hear that this morning, because this process is truly one that there will be some shakes and some ups and downs, and there'll be some setbacks. There'll be some issues happening along this journey. The next point: practice self-compassion in the process. Practice self-compassion in the process. Be patient with yourself. Some knots take time. Gentleness and repeated effort. Harshness tightens the knots. Compassion loosens the knot. Give yourself grace. It's going to take time. Be gentle with the knot you are untying. Be gentle with that knot. Sometimes, let's just keep it. Be patient. This isn't an overnight success. That journey, there will be some setbacks perhaps. Give yourself grace. Have that compassion. And that part is important. And when you start to think about this, and this is so powerful, that practice grace and patience with yourself. That is key. And like I said before, in the previous one, seeking counsel, and oftentimes some godly support. That's important. But practice that grace with yourself. That is huge. To do that, to be patient so that you do not beat up on yourself. Because guess what? Many times when people beat up on themselves, the tendency to quit in frustration will show up. And I don't want you beating up on yourself, because the goal is to get you to a place where you can thrive and make it. And that is very important, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break.
As the years go by, the toll of time, the environment, and your daily choices add up. You see it in the mirror. You feel it throughout the day. Most turn to supplements to fill the voids left by modern life. But the truth is, supplements meet basic needs, but often fall short when it comes to restoring true cellular health. The answer to true wellness goes beyond supplementation. It lies within your cells, locked within your DNA. All you have to do is activate it. Born from 40 years of groundbreaking research, LifeVantage is the activation company. And as the authority in nutrigenomics, LifeVantage is leading the charge in cellular activation. Key ingredients in each formula are selected based on science that shows they can unlock your genes and the health coded within, optimizing cellular function just as nature intended. From the original discovery, which activates genes that reawaken your cellular defense system and reduce oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days, to the first of its kind collagen activator that increases collagen density by 100%, and the mind-body GLP-1 system, two powerful products that naturally activate GLP-1 to support habit change, mindful eating, and the foundation for lasting change. LifeVantage has pioneered a better approach to wellness that works with your biology, minimizing the impact of age and lifestyle choices, empowering you to live healthier, longer through the transformative power of activation. Turn back the clock. Reignite your body. Live life activated.
To learn more about your gut health and how to activate your body, go to MauriceMcDonald.net. That's MauriceMcDonald.net, and learn all about activating your body, your gut health, with 84 fruits and vegetables organically grown all over the world. Again, MauriceMcDonald.net, MauriceMcDonald, and unlock your potential today. We're back, ladies and gentlemen, on the It's About You radio show here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. Maurice McDonald. Today we have been talking about healing Healing from those knots that you created, the knots in your life. The series I've been talking about for several weeks about untying the knots. And we've been talking about 10 of those processes to untie the knots that we created. And my next one that we're talking about right here is replace the old pattern with a new one. Replace old habits with life-changing practices, with new ones. Don't just untie the knot. Learn a new way to tie. If you are breaking a habit, build a healthier routine in its place. You see, when you take a void out of something, it's like a puzzle. When you miss a piece, the puzzle is not complete. So we're saying untying is half of the work. Retying differently is the growth. Oh, my. Somebody ought to put a period behind that one. That just blessed me. I need to say that one more time. Untying is half the work. Retying differently is the growth. You see, there's a quote, and many of you probably heard this, that change is inevitable, but growth is optional. You see, things are going to change. Change will come. Change is inevitable. Things will, but growth is optional. You see, that growth may have some work tied to it. Come on. You know what I'm talking about. It's some work to that. So untying is half the work. Retying differently is the growth. So replace the old pattern with a new one. My next one, turn the knot into a lesson, not a sentence. Turn the knot into a lesson, not a sentence. You see, don't treat your mistakes as sins, ladies and gentlemen. It may have been, but guess what? God is in the forgiving business. Your mistakes can become wisdom instead of a weight. Use what you've learned to guide your future decisions. Let the knot become a teacher, not a chain. Let the knot become a teacher, not a chain. Not that ball and chain where you tie yourself together and you're guilty again. And turn the knot into a lesson. And that's the part. And now you can grow from that. You can make some major change from that. It is important to know that. Keep this in mind. We all tie knots we wish we hadn't. Healing isn't about pretending we didn't do it. It's about learning how to untie them with honesty, humility, and hope. That part, that is the part that is there, ladies and gentlemen. This healing process, as we said before, all 10 of these that we have talked about, name the knot, release the shame, receive God's forgiveness and forgive yourself, apologize and seek reconciliation, take one small step, obedient step at a time, set boundaries with old patterns, seek wise counsel with godly support, practice grace and patience with yourself, replace old habits with life-changing practices. Let God turn your knot into a testimony. Because you see, understand this. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up those wounds. And that's Psalms 147, ladies and guys. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to know that that knot is a process, not a sentence. Understand that there can be some changes. There needs to be changes. You can make it. Forgiving yourself and making that process work is so important. Ladies and gentlemen, this time has gone by so fast. And by the way, if you ever miss any of my shows, go to my YouTube channel. It's About You radio show. Go there. Follow me on Instagram, Maurice McDonald 51. Reach out to me, ladies and gentlemen. If you go to my website, mauricemcdonald.net, mauricemcdonald.net, and learn all about your gut microbiome, your health, ladies and gentlemen, because all disease begins in the gut. And what I want you to do is to go out and do that. If you go there, send me an email, go to my website, send me an email. I'll make sure you get some free products. Listen, we got to go. We'll see you next week because we're going to be in the building.